underground military bases really exist? And if so, what actually goes on down there? And perhaps even more importantly, why is information about these bases so hard to come by? Time to go underground here on Things Visible and Invisible. Richard, in some ways these bases are symbolic or emblematic of a deeper government, a deeper state which is got plans for its populations. Talk to me a little bit about what your overarching thesis is, which involves these underground facilities.
Satanic, basically. I do believe Satanism is a big part of this. The worship of and promotion of great evil on this planet. I have to understand that these underground and underwater bases, and yes, the technology does exist and has existed for more than half a century to make elaborate, large, manned bases under the seafloor, well out to sea. The channel, the so-called channel, the tunnel between England and France that goes beneath the so-called English Channel, is one small example of that technology in the public sphere. There's so much more than that, however. This gets into the realm of special access programs, mind control programs, off-planet programs, so-called secret space program, dealings with so-called extraterrestrials. It also has to do with time travel and time engineering. Many different things you see. Cloning, certainly. The rumors and the stories about cloning labs and genetic engineering labs underground are rife. I believe that's one of the reasons for the war in the Ukraine right now. These facilities like this have been built in Ukraine by the United States military and CIA. And that's one of the reasons the Russians want to get rid of all of that. In other words, denazify the Ukraine, because a lot of this goes right back to the Nazi period. If I'm aware of it, the Kremlin certainly is, and they don't like it because it's right on their borders. I don't like it either, no matter where it is. And so it's a realm in which much is hidden and very little is divulged, and then only grudgingly.
You say that what's behind this is something satanic. I mean, you'll be very familiar, Richard, with traditional Christian iconography around hell and the devil being something subterranean. Well, I was going to say, is that something playing around in your research, that there is a connection here?
Well, I can tell you, in my research, I've come into time and time again connections between various satanic factions and movements and initiatic societies, which we might all lump under, let's say, the Illuminati. Once you're in, you're in. These people play hardball, and they have a lot of hired hitmen. The connections are many. When you're talking about big money, trillions of dollars, $27 trillion, that's not being donated to your local soup kitchen or homeless shelter or anything like that. That's why there are soup kitchens and homeless shelters, because those trillions of dollars are being sucked out of the global economy in the United States, and I assure you, also in the British Isles and in continental Europe. And so the things they are doing are not good. If it were good and for our benefit, would we not be told all about it?
And who do you think knows about this? I mean,
lots of people, starting with me, and now you, and now the people listening to this program and or watching it. So we need to talk about this. I strongly encourage you to have Catherine Austin Fitz on the program, and for your audience to look up her recent interview with Tucker Carlson, which went semi-viral. I think it's got a couple of million views or something like that on the internet. And she goes into this as well. She may not say some of the things that I do. She's a bit more diplomatic, but I'm more in the mode of I'm a senior citizen now. Um, I've had two attempts on my life within the last 14 years, including just this past December, a couple of weeks before Christmas. I got out of the hospital on January 20th. I was told through the grapevine that things that I've written on my blog have really ruffled the feathers of powerful people in the establishment, and so they gave the order to rough up Richard Sauder. I was run over by a car. I was hit and run over by a car on the street right here in Ecuador, and um, I'm not going to take it to the police because the people that do these things own the police and they own the courts. And so you have to understand that when you start talking about their business and saying their business really ought to be the business of the public at large. We deserve to know. We must know.
But
And people and the politicians, I know more than a lot of politicians about
well,
this.
that was the question I was sort of getting to here, Richard. Who are these people? I mean, if they're not your well, okay, but if they're not your average politicians, the people who purportedly run the country, who are they? I mean,
Well, I touched on this a minute ago.
yeah,
You're dealing with initiatic societies like the Freemasons, the upper levels. Your uncle who's in the neighborhood Freemasonic lodge who goes down to the lodge and shakes everyone's hand is not in on this kind of stuff. But when you get up to the 32nd and 33rd degrees, yes, okay. And then some of the other initiatic organizations, like the Knights of Malta, would be one example. There are others, and then there are satanic organizations. There is a Church of Satan, and do you know what the fifth degree in the Church of Satan is called? MAGA, MAGA.
right. So
Because you become a magi. MAGA, I believe there's a big political movement in the United States named MAGA.
and you see a correlation, a link between that and your research?
Probably at a deeper level, in that this also, you're talking about presidential power structure. Certainly, each and every president of the United States and cabinet members and a lot of people in the Congress, most of the people in the Congress and the Senate and the House of Representatives would know about these facilities because they would go into these facilities from time to time for various reasons. The majority of them, the president certainly, not all of them, but some of them. So they know a certain amount and they're told a certain amount. But really, I'm telling you, I know a lot more about a lot of things, and not only I, but other researchers, than someone like Donald Trump or Keir Starmer or Emmanuel Macron or this little Wiener Schnitzel they have in Germany right now called Chancellor Merz. These are very ambitious and ruthless people, but not especially intelligent. Uh, they are told what to do and when to do it and how to do it. For the most part, they comply, or they get a high-powered rifle slug through the head, like Jack Kennedy did in 1963.
Um, when you say that many of the presidents have been, initiated into these underground tunnels and all the rest of it, right? I mean, what research or what evidence have you seen, Richard, that would suggest that?
Well, as I mentioned in our previous interview, Camp David beneath the mountains in Maryland is just one example. It's huge, it's massive, it sprawls for miles, it's very complex. There's advanced technology in there, and all presidents do go to Camp David from time to time. What they do up there, I don't know. I don't think they just play shuffleboard and ping pong. I think they go underground. And what really happens underground at Camp David, I don't know because I've never worked for the agencies, but I know it's there and it's big. It was built by Navy Seabees, and it is maintained and operated by the United States Marine Corps, and yet it is a presidential retreat. I find this time and time again, where you have one agency using a facility and another agency maintaining and operating it, and yet another agency building it. So it gets quite complex, and there's
You also
quite a
suggest
lot of money, technology, and secrecy involved in all of this.
you also suggested, Richard, that there was some kind of extraterrestrial linkage to these underground tunnels. And I'm sure you're familiar that one of the theories around UFOs, UAPs, is that they do not come from outer space, but that they come from underneath, somewhere in the core of the Earth's.
Well, let me tell you, I think it's a mix. Clearly, some of them do come out of the sea and even out of the mouths of erupting volcanoes, and they come right up. So they have technological sophistication that at least the technology that is available to us, the general public, it exceeds that. Um, I think it's a mix. I think some are from other planets. Some are from other dimensions, and mind you, they may get to this planet from another planet by traveling through other dimensions and folding time and space, if you will, in that way. And then some clearly are of indigenous manufacture. I wouldn't rule out some of them being technological remnants from, say, Atlantis and Lemuria from years ago or from Vedic times. There was quite an advanced civilization in Vedic times in Asia and in Egypt, North Africa, and here in South Africa, South America, where I am. There were previous cycles of technological civilization on this planet that mainstream archaeology and anthropology know about but deny. You see, the cover up is just that extensive. But from my research, yes, the so called shadow government, secret government, deep state do have UFO technology, at least since the 1940s. They've been hard at work reverse engineering as much of what they have as they can, and building reproduction UFOs, if you can, which may not be exactly the same as what they had to work with to reverse engineer, but it's as close as late 20th century and early 21st century technology can do. And in my research, I talked with one of the PhD guys. He had a STEM PhD on Operation Blue Book. They actually went out. He was on one of the go teams. They would at all times, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, have go teams on standby with a whole suite of PhDs in metallurgy, material science, physics, chemistry, electronics, electrical engineering, PhD biologists, the whole thing, the whole suite of disciplines, linguists, PhD linguists, and PhD guys with PhDs in applied mathematics and that type of thing. And they would be flown out every time a UFO was shot down or crashed or was found. Some of them have been found underground in mining operations, for example, or excavating for roads, whatever you will. And they would go out, and so his job would be to examine whatever fell under the purview of his scientific discipline. And they would already all be buzzing around, and the whole place would be under very heavy military security, guys with automatic rifles and beady eyes. And then they would bring the stuff back to military bases or underground for further examination and research and engineering. This PhD scientist was working for Project Blue Book, and Project Blue Book did recover multiple UFOs through various means. And he told me that 3 of them that were functional were brought to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. This was the 1960s, and that they would fly them right out of the hangars at the new moon when the sky was most dark. They had one that he told me somewhat resembled a 1950 Studebaker car, and that it would have reminded you of that with fins on the back and that kind of thing. Colorful. Another one was more or less the classic flying saucer, about 30 feet in diameter. And another one was a huge sphere about 90 feet in diameter. And that they would, they'd gotten into these things and figured out how to fly them. And they would put Air Force test pilots in them and just fly them out of the hangars, pedal to the metal in the dark and fly them around. So it's my belief that for the past 60 years and more, going back to Roswell, and if the stories can be believed, before Roswell into the 1930s and 20s, that these things have been found and confiscated by various militaries in Italy and Germany and the United States and other places.
Yeah. Richard, unfortunately, we have to land this craft now. So tell people where they can find out more about you and the work that you are involved in.
Yes, sir. I have a blog at richardsauder.substack.com. Richard Sauder, that's RICHARDSAUDER.substack.com. And I have 3 books available for purchase: Hidden in Plain Sight, Beyond the X-Files, Underwater and Underground Bases, Surprising Facts the Government Does Not Want You to Know, and Underground Bases, What is the Government Trying to Hide? And I would encourage people to read. I know nowadays the thing is to just watch videos on your cell phone. I would encourage people to get the books, read them, look at the illustrations. They're not a hard read. They'll blow your mind wide open. If you're new to this area or this field, there's quite a lot to know, and you should know it.
Richard, for now, thank you so much for coming on Things Visible and Invisible.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Things Visible and Invisible. We're dedicated to uncovering phenomena that challenge our understanding of reality, from ancient enigmas and paranormal encounters to scientific anomalies and forgotten histories. If you enjoyed this journey into the mysterious and unexplained, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell to stay updated on future explorations. Have a personal experience or story that aligns with our investigations? We'd love to hear from you. Visit our website at tvi.show and reach out through our contact form. While we can't feature every submission, we review them all, and your story might be featured in an upcoming episode. To support our continued investigations, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter or channel member. Your contributions make these explorations possible and give you access to exclusive content, early releases, and monthly behind-the-scenes discussions with our team. Don't forget to check out our merch store. We've got everything from TVI-branded t-shirts and hoodies to stickers and coffee mugs, perfect for showing your support while keeping the mysteries close. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time as we continue to explore the things visible and invisible.